The massive alien ship appeared without warning, materializing above New York City on a quiet Sunday morning. Its dark metal hull stretched for miles, blocking out the sun and casting an ominous shadow over the bustling metropolis below. Within minutes, every screen on Earth, from smartphones to giant billboards, flickered to life with the same message. People of Earth, the alien voice boomed in perfect English. We are the Galactic Council, overseers of civilized space. Your world has been monitored for the past 100 years, and we have reached a decision regarding your species. In the Pentagon's Emergency Command Center, General Tom Miller watched the broadcast with clenched fists. Around him, military officers scrambled to coordinate with other nations' armed forces, but their weapons remained silent. They all knew that firing first would be suicide. Your species has shown remarkable technological progress, the alien message continued, but also disturbing levels of violence and aggression. For the safety of the galaxy, Earth must submit to protective oversight. You have 30 standard days to comply, or we will be forced to begin pacification procedures. The world erupted into chaos. Stock markets crashed, riots broke out in major cities, and doomsday preppers emerged from their bunkers claiming vindication. But in secure facilities around the globe, Earth's leaders were discovering something far more troubling. "Mr. President," said Dr. James Wilson, head of NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Program. He spread photographs across the Oval Office desk, his hands shaking. These images were taken by our deep space telescopes over the past decade. We thought they were astronomical anomalies, but now. The president leaned forward, studying the photos. They showed massive mining operations on various asteroids and moons throughout the solar system. "They've been here all along," he whispered. Within hours, a secure video conference connected the leaders of Earth's major powers. The Chinese premier shared satellite data showing hidden alien bases in the Pacific Ocean's deepest trenches. The Russian president revealed evidence of systematic resource extraction in Siberia. The European Union presented proof of alien monitoring stations disguised as weather satellites. "They're not here to protect us," the Indian Prime Minister stated firmly. "They're here to take what's left." Analysis of the Council's message revealed subtle threats and manipulative language that every major power recognized from their own history of colonialism. The aliens weren't offering protection. They were demanding surrender while trying to appear benevolent. In a hidden facility beneath the Swiss Alps, a group of international scientists made an intriguing discovery. Dr. Anna Martinez, examining the alien ship through powerful telescopes, noticed something odd about its construction. "Look at the scale," she pointed out to her colleagues. "Everything they build is enormous. Their smallest visible weapon is the size of a bus. But why? Unless..." The revelation struck them all at once. The Council races had never developed miniaturization technology. They solved problems by building bigger, not smarter. Their ships were massive because they didn't know how to make them smaller. This understanding spread quickly through Earth's leadership. Humanity's greatest weakness, our limited resources forcing us to build smaller and more efficient machines, might actually be our greatest strength. The president of Brazil summed it up perfectly during the emergency UN session. "They expect us to be primitive because our ships are small. They think we're violent because we fight wars with precision weapons instead of planet killers. They don't understand that we're not less advanced. We're just more efficient." As the first week under the alien ultimatum drew to a close, Earth's nations did something unprecedented. They agreed to work together, pooling their military and scientific resources in secret. Underground factories began retooling for war production. Special forces from different countries started joint training exercises. Scientists shared their most closely guarded discoveries. The Council had made a crucial mistake. They thought their ultimatum would frighten humanity into submission. Instead, it had united Earth like never before. In bunkers, bases, and laboratories around the world, humans prepared for war. They had 30 days until the Council's deadline. They would use every second. 23 days before the Council's deadline, Earth's hidden strengths began to emerge. In an underground lab complex beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Martinez and her international team made their first breakthrough. It's actually quite simple, she explained to the gathered military leaders, pointing to the holographic display of the alien ship. Their shield technology works like a bubble. Big and strong, yes, but it has a critical flaw. The display zoomed in to show tiny gaps in the shield's energy pattern. These gaps appeared for just milliseconds when the shield shifted to block incoming attacks. The aliens had never bothered to fix this flaw because no species had ever built weapons small enough to exploit it. General Miller smiled for the first time in weeks. And our missiles. Small enough to slip right through, Dr. Martinez confirmed. We just need perfect timing. Meanwhile, in a repurposed car factory in Detroit, engineers discovered another advantage. They had been studying pieces of alien metal recovered from old crash sites. The council races built everything enormous because they couldn't work with small, precise components. Their fingers were too big, their tools too clumsy. But human hands, perfect for detailed work. Look at this, said engineer Robert Thompson, holding up a circuit board the size of a credit card. More computing power than their ship's entire bridge. We can fit 30 of these in the space they use for one. The good news kept coming. In Japan, scientists found that Earth's older chemical rockets were invisible to alien sensors. The Council relied entirely on detecting advanced energy signatures. They had no way to track primitive technology. Under the Pacific Ocean, a network of small stealth submarines was being modified for space travel. The aliens would be looking for massive warships, not vessels smaller than their own shuttlecraft. They expect battleships. Admiral Jane Cooper told her fleet commanders, "We'll give them mosquitoes instead." But humanity's greatest advantage came from an unexpected source. A teenage gamer named Mike from Kansas made a startling observation while watching footage of alien ships in battle. They fight like raid bosses in video games, he posted on a military feedback forum. Big, powerful attacks with long cooldown times. No one in their right mind plays like that anymore. The post caught the attention of military strategists. They study recordings of previous council battles against other races. Sure enough, every space battle followed the same pattern. Huge ships, massive weapons, long pauses between shots. No rapid fire. No swarm tactics. No hit-and-run attacks. In a secret facility under London, combat simulators were reprogrammed to test this theory. Earth's best fighter pilots went up against AI versions of council ships. The results were stunning. They don't know how to handle multiple small targets, reported Wing Commander Thomas Baker. Their targeting systems can't track anything smaller than a commercial airliner. It's like trying to swat flies with a sledgehammer. 15 days before the deadline, Earth was ready to test its theories. A small, unmanned probe was launched toward the council ship still hovering above New York. The aliens didn't even notice it until it was halfway there. Primitive vehicle approaching, the council announced to the world. It will be destroyed if it comes closer. The probe kept going. The council ship charged its weapons, a process that took nearly 30 seconds. The beam fired and missed completely. The tiny probe was too small and fast for their targeting systems. The council sent 3 more warnings, each one sounding less confident than the last. The probe finally reached their ship, scanned it completely, and returned to Earth before they could land a single hit. In the UN's emergency bunker, Earth's leaders watched the data pour in. The probe had confirmed everything: the shield gaps, the targeting weaknesses, the slow reaction times. They're not gods, the British Prime Minister said. They're bullies who've never had to fight someone smaller than themselves. As the council ship hung in the sky, unaware of what Earth had discovered, humanity's preparations shifted into high gear. Thousands of small ships were being built in hidden facilities. Millions of tiny missiles were rolling off assembly lines. Special forces trained day and night for space combat in ships smaller than the aliens thought possible. The Council had started this fight expecting an easy victory over primitive savages. They were about to learn that sometimes the smallest opponent is the deadliest. The Council's deadline arrived with a show of force. 50 massive warships appeared in Earth's orbit, each one bigger than a small city. Their message was brief: submit or face pacification. Earth's response was silence. The Council waited 1 hour, then began moving their ships into attack position. They expected panic. They expected surrender. They got neither. Operation Silent Thunder is go, General Miller announced from the underground command center. Around the world, hidden launch sites opened their doors. But instead of big missiles or large ships, thousands of vessels no bigger than fighter jets rose into the night sky. The Council didn't notice them at first. Their sensors were tuned to detect large energy signatures, not the nearly invisible chemical rockets pushing Earth's ships higher. By the time they spotted the approaching swarm, it was too late. What are these? The Council commander's message betrayed confusion. These cannot be warships. They are too small to be a threat. The first wave of Earth's attack proved him wrong. 1,000 small missiles, each guided by advanced AI, struck the shields of the Council ships. As predicted, the aliens responded with their standard defense, powering up their massive energy weapons, which took precious seconds to charge. Those seconds were all Earth needed. Execute Attack Pattern Delta, Admiral Cooper commanded. The human ships split into smaller groups, moving exactly like a swarm of angry bees. As the Council ships fired their giant energy beams, the smaller Earth vessels simply dodged them. Then came the real attack. Dr. Martinez's discovery about shield gaps proved correct. Every time a Council ship's shields shifted power to block a threat, tiny openings appeared for milliseconds. The human ships, guided by gaming-inspired AI, timed their shots perfectly. Small, precise missiles slipped through these gaps. They were too tiny for the Council's internal defenses to target. The first Council ship discovered this when dozens of these missiles reached its engine room. The explosion was visible from Earth. Impossible. The Council commander's message boomed across all channels. Your weapons are primitive. Your ships are toys. Size isn't everything, General Miller muttered, watching as more Council ships reported hull breaches. The aliens' huge weapons were useless against targets too small and fast to hit. Their massive shields couldn't stop missiles that slipped through the gaps. The battle lasted 3 hours. Earth lost hundreds of its small ships, but they were unmanned, controlled by pilots safely hidden in bunkers below ground. The Council lost 15 of their mighty warships before something unprecedented happened. They retreated. The remaining Council ships, their hulls scarred by countless small explosions, broke orbit and fled to the far side of the moon. For the first time in known history, a Council pacification fleet had failed. But Earth wasn't done yet. As the Council ships regrouped, they detected new contacts approaching. From secret underwater bases, Earth's converted submarines rose into space. Designed to be stealthy underwater, they were nearly invisible to Council sensors. These ships carried a special weapon: tiny boarding drones, each one smaller than a coffee cup. They attached to the Council ships' hulls by the thousands, while the aliens frantically tried to shoot them off with weapons too big to target them effectively. The drones cut their way inside. Within hours, 5 more Council ships went dark, their crews locked out of their own systems by human computer viruses uploaded by the drones. The Council commander faced a choice: lose more ships or admit defeat. They chose to run. The remaining Council ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving Earth's orbit clear for the first time in a month. In cities around the world, people emerged from shelters to celebrate. Humanity had won its first space battle. But in the command center, Earth's leaders knew this was just the beginning. They had surprised the Council once. The next battle would be harder. Send the message, the UN Secretary-General ordered. The transmission was broadcast on all frequencies, aimed at both the retreating Council ships and the galaxy at large. To the Galactic Council, Earth does not submit. Earth does not surrender. If you return, we will be ready. This is your first and only warning. As cleanup crews collected pieces of destroyed Council ships for study, humanity's factories began building more small warships. The Council would return, probably with an even bigger fleet. But now they knew what humans had known for centuries. The biggest fighter doesn't always win the fight. 1 week after Earth's victory, the first cracks in the Galactic Council began to show. The Council's main meeting chamber, a massive room on their capital world, erupted into chaos as news of the defeat spread. 20 ships, shouted the representative of the Blue Star Systems, his long arms waving in anger. 20 of our most powerful warships destroyed by primitives using chemical rockets and tiny drones. This is unacceptable. The Council's high leader, a tall figure in flowing robes, tried to maintain order. But for the first time in thousands of years, the smaller Council races were speaking up. On Earth, human intelligence officers watched these proceedings through a hidden drone that had followed the retreating Council ships. What they saw gave them hope. "Look at the smaller representatives," pointed out Intelligence Director Mary Roberts. "They're not afraid anymore. The Council just lost their image of being unbeatable." She was right. The smaller Council races, those who had been protected by the Council for centuries, were questioning everything. If Earth could fight back, why couldn't they? Then came an even bigger surprise. A secret message arrived from the Forest Worlds, one of the Council's oldest member groups. "We have watched Earth for many years," the message read. "We too were once called primitive because we built small. We too were forced to accept protection. We wish to help." More messages followed. The ocean spheres offered advanced underwater technology. The ring colonies shared secret maps of Council space. Each message came from races that had been bullied into joining the Council. In the UN's war room, Earth's leaders saw an opportunity. "The Council isn't just a military force," explained the French president. "It's a political one. And political alliances can be broken." Earth's first diplomatic mission launched in secret. 3 small ships, designed to look like space junk, carried human ambassadors to meet with representatives of the Forest Worlds. What they discovered changed everything. "The Council has been lying to everyone," reported Ambassador David Thompson. "They don't protect smaller races, they rob them. Every world under their protection has been secretly stripped of resources." The evidence was overwhelming. The Council took whatever they wanted from their member worlds, calling it a protection tax. When they found Earth, they saw a planet rich in resources, especially water and rare minerals. But their usual tactics had backfired. Instead of frightening Earth into submission, they had awakened something they didn't understand: human determination. More secret meetings followed. Earth's representatives showed videos of the battle to other races. They explained their tactics, shared their technology, and made an offer: alliance against the Council. "We don't want to rule," the UN Secretary General's message stated. "We want freedom. For ourselves, and for all races." The Council realized too late what was happening. In their grand chamber, more representatives began speaking against them. Some even started using human phrases like "size doesn't matter" and "smaller is smarter." The final blow came when the Forest Worlds officially announced they were leaving the Council. The ocean spheres followed, then the ring colonies. Centuries of fear were washing away. "This is your doing," the High Leader raged at Earth's public communication channel. "You have corrupted the natural order." Earth's response was simple: "No, we just showed them they don't have to be afraid anymore." Back on Earth, preparations continued. The factories worked day and night, building more ships and weapons. But now they weren't just building for Earth. Their new allies needed weapons too. Small, precise weapons that their people could actually use. The Council made a mistake, General Miller told his officers. They thought being scary was enough. They forgot that scared people eventually stop being scared and start getting angry. As the Council's power crumbled, Earth emerged as the center of a new alliance. The smaller races, free from Council control, shared their own technologies and knowledge. Each had developed their own ways of building small and thinking smart. The Council had wanted to prevent Earth from joining the galactic community. Instead, they had given humanity the chance to help build a better one. But everyone knew this wasn't over. The Council still had the biggest fleet in the galaxy, and wounded giants are the most dangerous of all. 2 months after the Great Battle, Earth's technology took a giant leap forward. In laboratories around the world, scientists worked with their new alien allies, combining different ways of thinking to create something entirely new. The first breakthrough happened in Brazil. Dr. Martinez had been studying the forest world's living computers, machines that grew like trees but thought like supercomputers. She had an idea that seemed crazy at first. What if we combine their organic technology with our miniaturized circuits? She asked her team. The result was amazing. The new hybrid computers were smaller than a smartphone but more powerful than the Council's biggest machines. They could think and adapt like living things, but work with the precision of human technology. In Japan, engineers made another discovery. The ocean spheres had shared their bubble technology, special fields that could hold air and create gravity. But these bubbles were usually huge, big enough for entire cities. "Think smaller," said Engineer Thompson. "Why make one big bubble when we can make millions of tiny ones?" The new micro-bubble technology changed everything. Each soldier's armor now had thousands of tiny gravity bubbles. They could walk on any surface, float in space, and resist massive impacts. The Council's powerful weapons would hit these bubbles and spread their force harmlessly away. But the biggest change came from an unexpected place. A group of video game designers working with ring colony scientists created something new: the Neural Swarm Network. "It's like a multiplayer game," explained Mike, the same teenager who had first spotted the Council's weakness. Now he was helping design Earth's combat systems. Thousands of pilots, all connected, thinking, and moving as one. The new system let human pilots control swarms of small ships with their thoughts. In battle simulations, these swarms moved like flocks of birds or schools of fish, too fast and fluid for the Council's weapons to track. Earth's submarines were rebuilt using all these new technologies. They became space strike vessels, invisible to sensors, armed with weapons that could think for themselves. Each one carried thousands of tiny fighter drones, all linked to pilots safely hidden below Earth's oceans. "The Council thinks bigger is better," Admiral Cooper told her crews. "We'll show them that smarter is better." The Council spies who watched Earth were confused. They expected to see massive shipyards building huge warships. Instead, they saw nothing. All of Earth's construction was happening in underground facilities or underwater bases. Everything was small, hidden, and incredibly advanced. Even Earth's cities changed. Tiny gravity bubbles protected buildings. Living computers coordinated traffic and power systems. Every window could become a weapon station in seconds. The whole planet was becoming one connected defense system. The forest world sent seeds that grew into orbital forests around Earth, hiding military bases among their branches. The ocean spheres taught humans how to use water as a shield against energy weapons. The ring colonies shared their stealth technology, which Earth made even better by making it smaller. "They're breaking all the rules," a Council observer reported in panic. "They're using technology in ways that should not be possible." But it was possible. Humans had spent centuries making things smaller and more efficient because they had to. Now, with access to alien technology, they were doing what they did best: innovating. Deep under the Rocky Mountains, scientists tested their greatest achievement yet: the first human-made faster-than-light drive small enough to fit in a fighter jet. The Council's ships needed massive engines for FTL travel. Earth's ships would slip between stars like silverfish. "We're not just catching up to them," General Miller said, watching the test results. "We're going somewhere they've never been." As Earth's technology evolved, more council races began secretly asking for help. They saw a chance to be free from the council's protection. Human engineers taught them how to make their own technology smaller and smarter. The council had wanted to keep humanity primitive and controlled. Instead, they had pushed Earth to lead a technological revolution that would change the galaxy forever. But time was running out. Council spies had seen enough to know they were losing their advantage. Their next attack would come soon, and it would come with everything they had. Earth would be ready. This time, they wouldn't just defend. This time, they would take the fight to the Council. The Council attacked at dawn, just as Earth's leaders had predicted. This time, they brought 300 massive warships. But Earth was ready. "Let them come closer," Admiral Cooper ordered from her underwater command center. "Let them think they have surprise." The Council ships moved into attack formation above Earth, their weapons powered up, ready to destroy anything larger than a small city. That was exactly what Earth had been counting on. "Execute Operation Hornet's Nest," General Miller commanded. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Council ships hung in space, confused by the lack of resistance. Then their sensors detected something strange. Thousands of tiny dots were rising from Earth's oceans, forests, and deserts. "Begin transmission," ordered the UN Secretary-General. The message that played across every Council ship was simple: "You should have left us alone." Earth's attack began with something the Council had never seen before: a swarm of 10,000 microships, each one smaller than a car. They moved together like a flock of starlings, creating patterns that confused the Council's targeting systems. "Impossible," the Council commander shouted. "No pilots can fly in such perfect formation." But these ships had no pilots. They were controlled by gamers sitting safely in bunkers, using the neural swarm network to fly their ships with thought alone. Years of playing video games had prepared them for exactly this kind of battle. The Council fired their massive energy weapons. The swarm simply flowed around the beams like water around rocks. Then came Phase 2 of Earth's attack. Hidden in the swarm were special ships carrying the new micro-bubble technology. They surrounded each Council ship in a field of millions of tiny gravity bubbles. When the Council tried to fire their weapons, the energy scattered harmlessly across thousands of small surfaces. "Their shields are useless," shouted Wing Commander Baker. "All ships, attack pattern Delta." Earth's fighters darted through the gaps between the bubbles. They carried new weapons that combined forest world living metal with human miniaturization. These weapons didn't try to destroy the Council ships. They transformed them. Living metal spread across the Council ships' hulls like ivy growing on a wall. It crept into their systems and reprogrammed them. One by one, the mighty Council warships fell silent. "Second wave, launch," General Miller ordered. From Earth's hidden shipyards came the new strike vessels, former submarines rebuilt with alien technology. They moved through space like sharks through water, completely invisible to Council sensors. The Council commander watched in horror as his fleet's ships stopped responding one by one. Out of 300 ships, 50 were now controlled by living metal, 100 were trapped in bubble fields, and the rest were under constant attack by swarms they couldn't hit. "Full retreat," he ordered. But it was too late. Earth's strike vessels had positioned themselves in a sphere around the Council fleet. Each one carried a miniaturized FTL inhibitor, creating a web that prevented faster-than-light travel. "Your ships are now under our control," Admiral Cooper transmitted to the Council fleet. "You have two choices: surrender, or watch us take your ships apart piece by piece." The Council commander made one last attempt to fight. He ordered his remaining ships to fire all weapons at once, hoping to overwhelm Earth's defenses with sheer power. It was exactly what Earth had wanted. The massive energy discharge was caught by the bubble fields and channeled directly into Earth's new hybrid power systems. The Council had just given Earth's forces enough power to run their operations for a year. "Thank you for your contribution," Admiral Cooper transmitted. Within hours, the battle was over. The Council fleet, once the most powerful armada in the galaxy, had been defeated without a single major explosion. Earth's forces had simply taken their ships away from them. Messages poured in from across the galaxy. Other races who had watched the battle couldn't believe what they had seen. The Council's unstoppable fleet had been beaten by ships they could barely even see. But Earth's leaders knew this wasn't the end. They had won a great victory, but the Council still controlled the galactic capital. They had more ships, more resources, and now finally, something they had never had before: fear. The next phase of the war would be fought not just in space, but in the heart of Council territory itself. Earth's forces began preparing for their final push. The Council was about to learn another human lesson. Sometimes the best defense is a strong offense. The final battle for the Council's capital world began not with a massive attack, but with silence. One morning, the Council's mighty defense fleet simply shut down. Every system went dark. In the Grand Council chamber, the lights flickered and died. "What's happening?" demanded the High Leader. The answer came from the last place they expected: their own communication systems. "We've been here for weeks," announced Admiral Cooper's voice. "You just couldn't see us." Earth's microships had infiltrated the capital's defenses long ago, carrying colonies of living metal. Like digital ants, they had spread through every system, waiting for the signal to act. The High Leader rushed to the window. The sight made him freeze. The capital's famous purple sky was changing color. Millions of tiny ships emerged from stealth, looking like a silver cloud covering the entire planet. "Impossible," he whispered. "Our sensors would have detected." "Your sensors." This time it was Dr. Martinez's voice. "We reprogrammed those months ago. You've been watching what we wanted you to see." In the Council chamber, the massive doors slid open. Instead of the expected human soldiers, in walked a group of representatives from various races: the forest worlds, the ocean spheres, the ring colonies, and dozens more. Former Council victims, now standing tall. "The Council is hereby dissolved," announced the forest world speaker. "Your reign of fear is over." The High Leader reached for his emergency beacon, but found it transformed into living metal in his hand. Earth's technology had been literally under his fingers all along. "You don't understand," he shouted. "Without the Council, there will be chaos." "No," said a human voice. The UN Secretary General walked in, accompanied not by guards but by scientists and diplomats. "There will be cooperation." Over the next few hours, Earth's true victory became clear. They hadn't just beaten the Council militarily, they had replaced it entirely. The new Galactic Alliance was already formed, built on very different principles. "Every race has something to teach," explained the Secretary General to the assembled representatives. "The forest worlds understand living technology. The ocean spheres know how to work with energy fields. Earth knows how to make things smaller and more efficient. Together, we're stronger than any council." The former Council races were given a choice: join the Alliance as equals, or maintain their independence. Most chose to join, seeing the benefits of true cooperation over forced control. "But how will you maintain order?" demanded the former High Leader. "You have no central authority." Ambassador Thompson smiled. "We have something better. We have trust." The new alliance was built on Earth's principle of small but strong. Instead of one massive governing body, it created specialized groups for different tasks: trade, defense, scientific research, each managed by the races best suited for it. Earth's contribution wasn't just military. Their technology had changed everything. Ships no longer needed to be massive to be powerful. Weapons no longer needed to be huge to be effective. The age of bigger is better was over. In orbit above the capital, the massive Council ships were being transformed. Living metal broke them down into materials for smaller, more efficient vessels. The Council's huge defense platforms became networks of microstations. The galaxy was never meant to be controlled. The Secretary General addressed the first meeting of the Alliance. It was meant to be explored, understood, and shared. 1 year after Earth first received the Council's ultimatum, the galaxy had changed forever. The new Alliance ships, combining technology from all member races, began exploring previously unreachable parts of space. Their small size and advanced systems could go where the Council's huge ships never could. Trade flourished between worlds as Earth's miniaturized FTL drives made transport easier and cheaper. The forest world's living computers merged with Earth's AI systems, creating a network that could translate any language instantly. The former High Leader, watching from his retirement planet, finally understood Earth's greatest weapon. It wasn't their technology or tactics. It was their ability to turn enemies into friends. "Remember this day," the Secretary General told the Alliance Assembly. "Not as the day we defeated the Council, but as the day we all became something greater. Apart, we were victims. Together, we are explorers, innovators, and friends." The galaxy had learned an important lesson. The strongest force isn't the one that makes others kneel. It's the one that helps them stand.